Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel, or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan
Hello.
and Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
All right, Claire, what super inspirational, fun, happy film
Yes,
did we watch this week?
it's a very happy film. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but it was a film called Iniquity. It's directed by Oliver Goodrum, written by Alexander Craig and Oliver Goodrum, starring Richard Crahan and Mariana Tene, I think her name is, in the lead roles. It's actually a sequel to another short film called This Is Vanity. And in This Is Vanity, there's a mother and she's a disabled daughter, and the disabled daughter is traumatized by these young lads. And there's a I kind of have to spoil the prequel, so just a bit of a spoiler for the prequel. So in the prequel, she's so distraught, and the mother can't get help, and she feels very abandoned on her own. She actually goes into a car with her daughter and sets the car on fire, and the daughter and herself die in this fire. So this is the sequel, Iniquity, and it follows one of the young guys as an older man, and he's a journalist finds out where he is, and he's kind of tormented by his past and the evil that he did. He's working for in this warehouse, and people are getting kind of the word is getting out that this he did this he's was one of these young lads did this evil act, and he's absolutely tormented by it. And in this film you see flashbacks to when he was a young kid and he was coerced. He was like in a gang, and he probably didn't know the consequence of what he was doing back then, but as an adult, the guilt and the absolute terror and the how he has to live with this for the rest of his life. And there's people as well just writing graffiti on his house saying he's evil, and he goes into this part of this boxing club, and he's still traumatized, so traumatized by his actions that he caused the death of this mother and the young disabled girl. I think that's actually based on a true story. It's extremely harrowing to watch. I think it can be this could be triggering for some people, because I noticed in the comments on YouTube, people were saying, "Oh, this happened to my sister. Not this happened, but my sister was bullied because she was disabled." And how people they knew were severely bullied, and because of having a disability or being different. So it is a very triggering film. I wouldn't recommend everyone watches it, but it's very harrowing. And the filmmakers, they after making the original film, This Is Vanity, they wanted to go back and explore one of the characters, and I think they're going to make a second film about this. The film is over 20 minutes long, and I felt like I was watching a drama. I felt like this could be a six-parter. It's extremely well acted, and we're such a sensitive topic. It's dealt with in it's so well, and such care, and it's so disturbing. And I think I've witnessed this with people being harassed in the street for being a bit different. You know, in my community, I've seen, well, not to this extent, but you know, I think we've all witnessed bullying going on, and it's extremely harrowing and stays with you. And I think this should be seen by everyone, with a warning. I think it should be turned into a six-part series, because it was so well acted, so well written, and extremely harrowing topic that so many people are living with being harassed and bullied because they have a disability, or they're just being different. So what did you guys think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going next. Well, you probably didn't need to say spoiler alert, Claire, because
Yeah,
films, They showed at the very beginning.
Yeah, I think so. Just in case people want to watch
Happens.
the other one. So
Yeah. Well, even in the prequel, that's the first scene, isn't it? That they
yeah, yeah.
mother and daughter get into the car. Um, yeah, like it. It is a difficult film to watch. It's an interesting way of looking at it, I suppose, to take the point of view of one of the perpetrators. Um, and I found one thing I did notice, which is kind of interesting as well, is that they made him younger, it seems, in the sequel than the prequel. So he was about like 10 or so by looks things. And when we're supposed to be reviewing today, Iniquity. And I guess this was to sort of to to kind of bring into question this idea of responsibility and criminal responsibility, and you know uh, how how responsible are you, like as a 10-year-old? Um, and I guess the answer to that is you're not really. And one thing that came out from the prequel, I think these two films, they should be watched together, really, um, because you do, like in it, because I did go back and watch the first film again, or after you recommended it. And one thing that came out in that film that didn't come out in the second film was what a nasty woman his mother was. And that doesn't come out at all in the first. So a lot of these times, he's kind of, these behaviors are perpetuated. People come out of dysfunctional kind of backgrounds, and they don't know any better. And it reminded me of I was thinking of the Jamie Bulger case, where those two boys were 10 years of age, and their identities obviously have to be well hidden. Um, and I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, that one of them, that he actually did much better in kind of social care, because he had proper kind of structure, uh, proper care. He was able to get himself an education, and he seems to be more well adjusted now. So yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I think that's what they were trying to do with this film. That by making him younger, you could more easily identify with him. You could forgive him in a way. As a film, like, it was very well done. The use of flashbacks and sort of cutaways is very well done, and I just found, again, like that some of the characters were a bit confusing as to who they were, and at times I thought the music was just a little bit overbearing, but other than that, it was a good film.
Yeah, it certainly goes into that, how your social groups play into who you become as a child and adult, and your family life and all that kind of stuff, which we all kind of know. But the interesting thing about this is, if you watch this film alone without watching the prequel, I feel like you lose a lot, because in this film they certainly make him out, even with the flashbacks, to be a bit more sympathetic of a character as a child. Like, they show the bit where he's real little and his friends are kind of encouraging him to smoke pot and that kind of stuff. But whereas in the prequel, he's just kind of a bully, right? You don't really see any of that as much. So I agree. I do think you need to watch both these films together. I watched this one, then I watched the prequel, and then I watched this one again. Part of the reason why I had to watch this one again is because their accents are so thick that it was hard sometimes to understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
But it does help, because the thing is, you're trying to figure out who some of these people are. So, like, the guy in the house, I'm assuming that's his brother. So was the brother also one of the bullies when they were kids? And, like, what's that relationship playing there? But the thing is, like, I know this film, they're really trying to make him a bit more sympathetic of a character, but I actually don't feel sympathy for him here. I get what they're going with is like, hey, he did this horrible thing when he was a kid. He learned his lesson. He's grown up. He's trying to make right with the world. but they even call him out for it. Like the photographer or the reporter is hounding him and being like, tell your story. Like, have you really apologized to anybody about this? And the guy isn't so much, yeah, he's tormented, obviously, but he's also not apologized, right? He's never said what I did was wrong. That was a terrible thing. Please forgive me. I'm not that, he said it once, I'm not that person anymore to the reporter, but that was it. And the reporter kind of calls him out on that. He's like, you're not really doing anything. It's also an interesting story of the judicial system, right? And how the police don't really do anything till after the fact, right? So if you're being harassed by like neighbors or something like that, they don't really care. It's not till they actually do something extreme that the police actually get involved. And it's totally true, which is really
It's
annoying about
horrific.
the system that we live
Yeah.
in. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that, you know what I mean, until I knew someone like who was not the situation, in our situation, and there really is no help. It's like until something serious happens, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I guess if you're in the police, that you see so much, and perhaps in 99% of cases, it just kind of just peter out.
Yeah.
And maybe they just become a bit jaded and cynical. And now this
Mhm.
is just another one. So as consumers of news and media, we no naturally focuses on the bad cases. But I have like been in, not personally, but I know somebody who was in that situation where they were being harassed, and like I have to say, like in Ireland, that the police's hands were tied about what they could do. Although that's changing now. There's kind of new laws, new
I
regulations.
noticed that. Yeah, recently there's been a lot of convictions in Ireland in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Serious sentences. There were partners of people who severely harassed women. 3 women actually. It was just terrific. One of them was a policeman. Is just
Oh,
crazy. Yeah,
but
yeah,
even I think there's a new anti-stalking
isn't there?
law coming out. What I was going to say, just to pick up on your point, Mara, was um, I think that the guy, he definitely he regrets what he did, but I get the feeling he's more. It's more a case of him feeling sorry for himself, really.
Mm.
Yeah, that he said, like, it's not just time to move on, from this is 10 years ago. That he thinks it's something that happened in the past, and he shouldn't ruin the rest of his life. So it just seems to be. I don't get a feeling he has really properly addressed what he did, and come to terms with it in any way. And maybe he's just sort of that type of personality. He's just, he's not the type of guy who's going to get in touch with his feelings, And he is angry. Yeah, he probably was angry as a kid, and he's angry as an adult, and he feels that he's unjustly being sort of harassed.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure he still hasn't learned proper, coping skills or interacting with other human being skills, right? Because even after that happened, he was still raised in that same environment.
Mm,
So good enough that he still kind of got out of it. But yeah, he still hasn't really probably learned how those actions affected others and why the protesters and all those people are still so angry about it, right?
yeah.
Uh, so it would be interesting to see if they do a third movie. Then maybe at the third one he'll learn something.
Yeah, and he is obviously having these flashbacks and nightmares where he is setting fire to things, like, even though he didn't actually do it really, it has affected him mentally, and he definitely does need some therapy. But
There's so much to explore in this. I think it could be a 6-part drama, either way on BBC or ITV or something. it's just there's so much in it. It would be very powerful. Maybe they're going to go that way, maybe because there's just so much to explore, all the different characters and everything, extended family and all that.
Yeah, as a sort of a fiction, it would work. But if you start, if you're actually talking about real cases, then it mightn't, because we saw like what happened with the and I forget the name of the film now. Vincent Lamb's film
Yes, yeah.
that
Oh yeah, where everybody was in an uproar and
Detainment.
yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah. Detainment.
detainment, yes, detainment. That he was vilified for
Yeah.
daring to make that film, to daring to look at it from the point of view of the two boys, even though he didn't really. I mean, he kind of humanized him in a way, but my God, like he really got a hard time over that. So, and it is difficult when you have
Yeah, he was really just telling the story of what happened.
so when you have a victim, and let's be fair, like the real victim was the daughter and the mother, who ended up, killing themselves, and it was horrible, like the way they were bullied like that, and society has, if this is based on a true story, society has a huge chunk of the blame, like for not taking this seriously and not being able to deal with this. The bureaucracy and the dismissing of it, the lack of any real empathy was pretty bad. If this film is accurate portrayal of what happened, which I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally could see this type of stuff happening. Absolutely believable.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I definitely think it should be a two-parter. Like they shouldn't be they shouldn't be watched in isolation, and maybe they should sort of have it like that on YouTube. Although people probably wouldn't watch 40
Yeah,
minute
because I
film.
had to search for the prequel. Only that I came across there was a prequel. So it was,
Yeah,
it wasn't clear, it should
Yeah.
be linked somehow or just something,
yeah. Unless they made it clear at the outset, this is part 2 of a
Over a many-part series, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because I felt like this one felt like it was missing stuff, and it's those questions and answers that you get from that first film. So it was definitely helpful to have watched that first film.
Mm.
All right. Well, should we rate it then?
Yeah.
Okay. Colin, you want to go first
Yeah,
here?
I'll go first. Yeah, depressing film. But I handled the subject matter quite well, and it's good, very, very well made. So I will give it 4 stars.
I agree. I think it's very well made, very well acted, very well shot. It's a super important message, and I'm gonna go 4 stars as well.
Yeah, it's extremely harrowing, extremely well acted. And I think this should be a 6-part series, and everyone should watch this film, even though it's a hard watch. So for me, it's 4 stars as well.
All right, unanimous decision there. 4 stars. We definitely think people should watch it. It's called Inquiry. You can find it on YouTube under the Omletto YouTube page, or just do a search for it. But as Claire mentioned, watch the other one first, then watch this one. That's our recommendation. Let us know what you think of this film or anything that we review by reaching out to us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at No Budget Show. Or, of course, you can leave a comment in this video. And with that, we will say see you next time and goodbye.
Bye.
But can you just hold on a second?
Yeah.
Just give me 2 minutes.
No worries. No worries.
Lots of pauses. Have fun editing this one, Claire.
Chop, chop, chop.
Uh-huh.